Gareth, it's been a strange few months for everybody in the world, but for you as Academy, how have things been?
Busy, very busy to be honest with you, especially logistically trying to get people back playing, players back playing, and then likewise getting staff back working. We've been very fortunate. The goodwill of players, staff, facilities, local facilities has all been great, and everyone's been appreciative of what we're trying to do. We understand nothing's ideal because we're not all back playing as normal, we're all not back using Clayton Wood, we're all not back we were before lockdown. But generally, I said everyone, and parents especially, have been appreciative of what we put in place, the sort of policies we put in place, and likewise what we're trying to do. And we're trying to get boys back playing football in the best way possible and the safest way possible.
For the under-23s and under-18s in particular, their pre-seasons are coming towards the end. How have things gone for them?
It's been strange for them. Obviously, under-18s have been utilising Stone Domino's training facility during the day, and we're thankful for those guys and the Academy for Wellbeing who own the gym for use of that during the day, so we could run a normal programme in their secure bubble. And then the 23s have been utilising the Southfield pitches out the back of the training ground, operating with players out of a marquee. We had a marquee placed at the side, just in line with government restrictions, and then operating in a socially distant format wherever possible. Obviously that's brought its own challenges, especially in the morning if the weather's a bit cold and the weather's a bit rainy. But as I said before, the goodwill and the desire of players and staff just to get back working, and we're trying to spin it as a positive that, all right, it's not ideal, but then if you bear in mind where we were sort of 2-3 months ago, sat behind a laptop, then anything's better than that. So they've obviously been training every day, and then we've just got the 9s to 16s coming back now. They started in their socially distant format for a week, and then went on to sort of coming up to contact training now. But again, logistics have been the main one. But thankfully, we've come into the end of pre-season. We've had some good games. Players are in good shape, and we're all looking forward to the season ahead.
Have you been pleased with the performances and results of the two teams during pre-season?
Generally, yeah. We only look at performances at this stage. Results we're not too bothered with. I say the results are just a marker of what's gone on. If you look at the under-23s, in every game, the performance has been good. All we're missing is maybe scoring a few goals. But from our box going forward, we've kept the ball well, we've pressed well, we've run it back, generally looking fit. So there's just got a little bit of tidying up to do in and around the attacking third. And it's similar to the 18s really. We've got obviously new players that take them time bedding in. We're constantly going to be young this year across both groups, so that brings its own challenges. So they've taken a little bit of time to settle down, but again, they will get better over the season goes as they get used to being full-time footballers, and then likewise they hopefully should see the true themselves towards the end of the season.
Both teams did particularly well last season before the campaign was curtailed. Have you set any targets so far for the two sides next season?
Complete the season, unlike last season. No, we don't generally set targets. The only targets we set ourselves are getting players into the first team, and what obviously the byproduct of that, appearances, loan appearances, and things like that. So those are the only targets we set ourselves. Obviously, we're pushing the players day in, day out to be the best that they can be. So where we finish in the league, generally irrelevant. It's all about the performances of players. Are our players improving, and are people getting opportunities across in the first team? And they are the targets that we set ourselves as an academy, as a group of staff. And then likewise, as I said, what goes with that is improving them day in, day out, improving them as people, because that's a marker of success as well.
Given the current climate, what's the situation at the moment in terms of where the under-23s will be playing their games next season?
Well, obviously in line with current restrictions, everything's behind closed doors, and they will be for the foreseeable future. And because of that, we're saying we're going to hold the games at the training ground, as many as possible, as well as the stadium. And well, obviously they've been announced of when and where we are planning to play that. Obviously, if the situation changes and fans are allowed, then we'll reassess that. Obviously, we're thankful to Leek Town for their hospitality last season. We've utilised Newcastle Town this year for the under-18s to play a game, and we're thankful for their hospitality. And we'll just make a decision when the time comes that fans are allowed and we can host people safely. Obviously, in the short term, all the games will be played at Clayton Wood.
In terms of the under-23s, in the off-season you've brought in a couple of players. Just tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, obviously we brought in Douglas Taylor from Salford. He was a top scorer in the under-18 last season in Salford's league, and we sort of brought him in. He's powerful, strong, can finish, and he'll take a little bit of time to adjust to Cat 1 level because there is a bit of a jump, and he has been injured as part of pre-season, but we've got high hopes for him to see how he develops. and like I said, he's got a great attitude, a good kid, and we're looking forward to working with him. And then we also brought in Gabby Adambambo. Gabby was signed from Ireland. We agreed it actually before lockdown. It was sort of end of January, but obviously with the transfer window closed, we were going to pick it up at the end of the season, and obviously we stood by that deal to get it done in time for this season. So them two lads have joined, and they're obviously working with the 23s.
You released quite a few players from the under-23 squad at the end of last season. Are you maybe then looking towards maybe bringing in one or two more in that squad?
Yes, definitely. We've obviously had a group that have moved up from the under-18s who become first-year pros, and we've got a talented group who got to the cup final last year, and they've earned their first professional contracts. We are looking at a couple more players, but we are conscious of keeping the group small as well, because it's important that we move players up where we can, and if that's part of their development, to allow players that maybe not getting games for the first team to sort of play and have game time there as well. And like I said, and keeping the general standard of the group high, and so they are challenging each other day in, day out, because part of improving is being a good sparring partner, and to do that you need the challenge of standard of the group being good. And so the right back is always challenging the left wing, and the centre forward's always challenging the centre half. So that's a conscious decision to allow, as I said, players to move up and around there, and we'll see how they do, and they'll go from game to game. Obviously the first game's on Monday, which is everyone's looking forward to.
When the teams return for pre-season, there will have been quite a number of scholars join the 18s group. Have you been pleased with how they've integrated into that squad?
Yes, they've found it hard, as we say to all our first year scholars, that I know this is a daft thing to say, but it takes used to playing football every day, and obviously the psychological sort of pressures and the psychological demands, the physical demands that places on players, and they've just not been used to it, especially coming out of lockdown where they haven't been as physically active as they have been previously. So we've have to be mindful of that. Some have taken to it like a duck to water, others have taken a little bit of time to adjust. And the general rule is you don't really generally see the true first year scholars until after Christmas, once they've had sort of a good 4 or 5 months of settling in and getting used to playing full-time football. And likewise you bear in mind where they've been in sort of lockdown, as I just said. So they're settling in. Rich is doing some great work with them, and educating them about what it takes to be a Stoke City player, educating them about how we play, and we'll see how they develop as the season goes along.
With you applying like a development focused sort of model rather than results model, you must be pleased then with the amount of players that have kind of stepped up to the first team in the last few weeks in pre-season and towards the end of last season.
That's ultimately why we run the academy. It's not to win trophies, it's not to top the league. Obviously it's great if we do, and we demand our players to win. That's part of the development, and sort of and how we go about that is the most important thing. But likewise our targets are to get players into the first team, to have league appearances, whether that be with us, whether it be out on loan, and provide opportunities for them. So it's been great last season with the amount of appearances. It's been great, and sort of this season we're having the guys constantly training with the group, sort of Tyrese and Collos, and continuing to pick up experience. Obviously Will Forrester, Adam Porter and Blondie were on the bench during the sort of completion of the fixtures, and they've been regularly training around the group. And now for us that's great as an academy. Ultimately that's why we do what we do, but it's also great for the players to see that there is the pathway and opportunities for the players if you are performing well. And that's ultimately what we ask and demand of our players. You play well, the rest could take care of itself.